12, and we will return to open session. Jackie, roll call.
Lisa Bailey. Here. Nick Atwood. Here. Sid Byers.
Here.
Jose Jaquez.
Here.
Christopher Boyce.
Here.
Mark Sherrod. Nancy Byron. Maria Bones Rodriguez.
And now for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First thing we'll move into is public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. We do have one. Chris Watson about Clint Rosette Middle School.
We had one.
All right.
Is someone outside, Jackie? Can we check to make sure no one's standing outside?
Oh, there he is. That guy wants to talk to us. Maybe down here.
Fun, fun, fun.
Is it a man? Isn't that bad?
I was not going to look for him.
Well,
He's finishing up for
Everyone's looking this way. I should have waved.
I guess since they are currently indisposed, we'll move on to the next section. It is board correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence for the board?
The middle school musical was awesome. Always is, but you know.
I just want to give a shout out to Peter and Matt. I had the opportunity this last weekend to stop in on Saturday to the finals for the state wrestling for IESA. And I just want to say just them, DeKalb Wrestling Club as a whole, does a phenomenal job representing our community well. Because this has been almost, what were you guys saying, 40 years that we've run this tournament for the IESA. And now we're working on many different plans to maybe try to bring a couple more IHSA and IESA things in. So I just want to say if we can continue to do that, we can continue to make DeKalb a place on the map and continue to bring in lots of sales tax dollars so we can continue to have lots of nice things in our community. So, but thank you guys. Does any other board members have anything? Moving on to student board correspondence. Maria, do you have anything for us?
Yes, it's been a while, but during the first week of our March, our district participated in SEL week. In the high school, Barbed Wire made an episode on how students like to de-stress. There were SEL drinks selection in the Barb City Cafe. In the middle school, there was a spin the wheel during lunch to win items like fidgets, coloring books, and Pop-Its. And in the elementary schools, there were Post-its on every student's lockers with positive messages. On another note, the mini board is also working on a social emotional learning poster for Mental Health Week during the week of April 14th, somewhere around there. We've already made a poster and we're just gonna send that out to the district for students to know what they have available for their mental and emotional health. SteamCon was really fun. I really enjoyed that. It was great. I built my Lego and I was really happy with it.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
All right. On to the next section, which is consent agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda, item 5B through 5K, board minutes from March 3rd, 2026, personnel action items, purchase order requisition, payroll for February, financial reports, accounts payable for March, 2026-2027 IHSA membership renewal, resolution authorizing notice of non-renewal and dismissal of temporary one-year service teachers, employment contract for elementary restorative dean for Malta Elementary, and employment contract dean for DHS as presented and or amended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have? All right. Any questions before we vote? Jackie, roll call.
Nick Atwood.
Yes.
Sid Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
All right, moving into old business. First item is the resolution of appointing an IMRF authorized agent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boys.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Elwood.
Yes.
Next item is item B, two-way dual language conference as recommended the Board of Education approve for one teacher and two administrators to attend and present at the Association of Two-Way Dual Language Conference, June 17th through the 19th this year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boys.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Elwood.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Item C, get your teacher on conference. As recommended, the Board of Education approved for Founders Educators to attend the 2026 Get Your Teacher on Conference from July 5th through the 8th this year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Christopher Boys.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Elwood.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
And now into the real fun stuff, Vision 428 business.
Where's my team? Where's my team? Yeah.
Here's my gift.
You know how you expand this?
Like all of them?
I feel like the rest of us should stand up and
A part with the worst gas money. Planet, so I live in Everett.
You're taller. You're all right.
All right. So before I go into the slides, I want to take some time to acknowledge everybody who's worked on Vision 428, from our staff to our community members to some of our board members on it. Really at the forefront when we started with Vision 428, and it never shifted, was what's best for our students. Yes, you all are going to see dollar signs to some of these shifts that we want to make, but everything is for our kids. That is, it might make it a little bit more difficult for us as adults. Trust me, if I were a fifth grade teacher, I probably would not want to move from a building that I'm at, maybe to go to a fifth or sixth. But if it's going to be great for our kids, then that's something that I'm going to be willing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into these now. But I just wanted to say that because it's been a great learning experience of trying to see all perspectives from all the different subcommittees that we have and trying to be fiscally responsible as possible while we do it as well. So just kind of to recap, this is a long-term plan for our district. So we want to ensure that we are providing our students with the facilities that they should have and that they're developmentally appropriate. So as you can see here, our big goals are to reduce class sizes at the at the secondary. We've already done it at the elementary. We want to make sure that we are not increasing elementary at a large size, trying to get secondary down as well. We want to ensure equitable access to resources and programs across middle school grade buildings. What that means is right now, if we just built the LDC, they come out of the wing, we're gonna have more students at Clint Rosette than we are at, at Hunley than at Clint Rose. That's why I got my team. So we're gonna have more students at Hunley, which means, just for example, if I'm a basketball player and I'm average, I might not be able to participate. But if I was at Rosette, I'd be able to participate because there's probably less students trying out. And I know it's not all about athletics and activities, it's about academics as well, but that's the example that I have for you right now. So we also want to increase the continuum of specialized supports across buildings, eliminate the need for mobile classrooms. That's a big one that we've talked about over the years, and we still have a couple mobiles in our district. Add flexibility and room to grow for future if we increase our student enrollment. Reconfigure school buildings to make sure that we have specialized programs, not just in some of our buildings, but hopefully in all of our buildings. We want to move away from utilizing Founders as a K-5 building. It's not suited for elementary students. I think we knew that a long time ago. We just didn't have another building that elementary students could go into. So, and we want to fulfill our commitment to fiscal responsibility. Like I said, you're gonna see some dollar signs here. A couple options. One of the options you'll see is all at once, and we're scaffolding the other one. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Jessica jump in. There you go.
All right. Last time we spoke to you about this particular vision, we shared the results from our full vision committee, which met several times. As you know, these are just the bullet points of a review of what we discussed at that large group meeting. We had 58 people, which is a lot of people, representing staff at the district level in our buildings, administration in the buildings, some board members, and community members who are not employed by the district in any way, who formed the original large committee. We reviewed data, we engaged in discussion, and then we voted to pursue the original Vision 428 proposal, which meant reconfiguring schools to a K4, 5, 6, 7, 8 model. Then we asked you if we could move forward with further exploration of reconfiguration. And from that point, with your consensus, we've established 5 subcommittee working groups. All of the committee members were encouraged to join subcommittee groups. Many are on more than one subcommittee. There have been a lot of later evenings than I'm used to. In particular, we've been meeting several times a week for the last month and a half. And we also asked people to recommend other members who could participate as well. And the following subcommittees have met over the last month. We've had curriculum, renovations, which is the facilities committee, personnel, athletics and activities, and transportation. Now we're going to have each of the subgroups step forward and tell you what they've been working on, the consensus that they've reached, and then also what their high priority topics are to talk about next.
Thank you, Dr. Nolan. Good evening, everybody. It's definitely been a whirlwind adventure, and it's been great to dive into the different components with culture, the curriculum, excuse me. Some of the biggest rocks that we need to look at is what is the schedule, because that will drive a lot of how much time we spend on different areas and how we support students. The first thing we needed to look at was grades 5 and 6 and what would be the program model we would use. So we decided to do 5th grade self-contained, which is currently what the elementary uses, so students can move between other 5th grade teachers, say 2 to 3 teachers for the different subjects or how we want to divide up the students based on their needs and the staff strengths. And then 6th grade, more of a middle school model. AJ, would you like to jump in and offer anything as well?
Just that with the 5th grade, we'll be able to maintain our IDUs, our interdisciplinary units, and our bilingual unit frameworks that we've been working on for a few years, and run it similar to how 5th grade is run right now, letting 6th grade be more of a transition year.
And then also keeping 5th grade self-contained is a nice transition as our students come out of elementary school and enter into this middle grade center of 5, 6, and then with the 6th grade following more of a middle school model. It'll also allows, in addition to keep our MDUs, is the ability also to maintain staffing at its current levels, and we wouldn't have to worry about, divvying people up. We would just pick them up from their 5th grade and then move them into these centers. Obviously, there may be some movement, but it allows to make sure that we maintain that 5th grade licensure.
So I guess I'm a little confused. Oh, yeah. Because I thought one of the main reasons that we needed to put 5 and 6 in the same building was curriculum wise, 5 and 6 just isn't geared towards K through 4. And curriculum wise, 6 just isn't geared towards 7, 8. But we're gonna split them into these same buildings and then run everything exactly the same for both grade groups as if they were in those other buildings. So I guess what's the point?
Well, thank you for the transition. Yes, that's an excellent transition to it's not the same. And we'll be utilizing the same MDUs that is developmentally appropriate and brings forth the needs of our students, but it's also about the experiences and bringing in some of the other special classes that they can access. Music, art, PE, and other things that we can explore. We're not there yet to tackle all of that. We first need to look at what was the overall model, and then we can fill in those other places.
I just would add that self-contained model is the term used by ISB to talk about licensure. So in our current 5th grades, in most of our buildings, students are with one 5th grade teacher for their entire school day, similar to how they were in 4th grade and 3rd grade. So if we have 5th graders who have 2 or 3 teachers, by ISB that is still considered self-contained. So what we're trying to do by referring to it in that way
not what we're trying to do, what we are doing is making sure that fifth grade teachers don't have to obtain an additional license in order to keep teaching in the district simply because we've moved the classrooms. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yes, thank you.
So are the students are staying in the classroom, but they'll have different teachers cycling through with different subjects that they'll be teaching?
Not necessarily, the students can move as well.
Okay, so the fifth graders will be going to different rooms for different subjects then?
Right, if you
similar
did
to
like
how-
a two-teacher model, you might have a math teacher that teaches math and science, and those students might move then to a second teacher.
Anyone
that
who
would do
speaks should
ELA
come
or
up to the
social
microphone
studies.
because they
Okay.
can't hear you at home.
No, just to piggyback on that, and hopefully that brings some clarity, like a two-teacher model, you know, you might have a teacher that teaches the math and the science, then the kids would travel to another teacher that would teach like ELA and social studies or something like that. So the kids would move to give them that, to me, that next step to move towards that, direction, to move towards sixth grade.
And they're not really doing that in their current form, right? Are they in like a single classroom all day in fifth grade? So that would be kind of helping with that transition to the 7, 8. Got it.
But also with certain exceptions for IEPs and different things, they move as a class, right? So it's like
It depends on how we build the schedule.
but more
That is-
like Miss Johnson's class will take science in Miss Smith's class, and Miss Smith's class will probably move over to Miss Johnson's class to take social studies or something like that. They move that way rather than in middle school, sometimes they get split all over the place.
That's a very common model, but it will come out in how we develop the schedule and what those students' needs are. It also provides opportunity if the students do need to accelerate in a particular subject, then they can look at sixth grade as well.
Yeah.
Moving on to, oh, sorry, was there something else you were gonna say?
it.
Looking at seventh and eighth grade, the big areas that we need to tackle next with that are looking at the number of classes within the day, what does that look like, and then the special offerings, which we already talked about for the fifth grade, but also looking at that for the middle school, or excuse me, the junior high, or this grade 7, 8, what we wanna call it, is how many classes and do we maintain a double block or single block as an example for language arts and math? Currently, we have that. We're discussing it, looking at other schools' models, looking at the research, looking at our curriculum sets and what are the needs of the students and their trajectories for their post-secondary goals. As you go from elementary, which we just described as a fairly restrictive amount of movement and access, to the 5, 6, more movement, even more movement and opportunities at 7, 8. So if we do change to a single block, it does provide some different opportunities for some groups of students where they could access an additional elective, they have more opportunities to engage in different classes. We would still have to offer an intervention period, so some would probably keep a double block where if they need, say, I'm not strong in math, Sarah would need my core math, and then I would need an intervention period, which would be a support period, similar to what our high school does right now when there are needs for students to take 2 periods. But we're currently discussing that and figuring out what are the best avenues for our students, because we also want to make sure when they get to high school, they're very well aware of different opportunities that they're currently not exposed to. So they get to the high school and oftentimes the freshmen are like, wow, we're in this land and there's all these classes, even though we do a wonderful job and the high school does a wonderful job with their elective fair and our transition events throughout the year, bringing in the parents, but sometimes you have to actually see it and touch it. So giving that opportunity before they get there to look at what are their different options. Any questions on 7, 8? Thank you.
Hi, Jane Weiss. I'm a Kinder 2A dual language teacher at Founders, and I'm tasked with talking about the renovations committee. The renovations committee looked at the buildings and what needs may happen based on changing their uses, whether it's gonna be a 5, 6 building, K-4 building, and the changing of where students go. And extracurricular spaces. So there was a consensus reached that Founders and Clinton Rosette would become 5, 6 buildings with students. The remaining 8 elementary schools would absorb the K-4 students from Founders. This would be accomplished by adding 1 section to Mitchell, no construction needed, and a 2-section addition at Lincoln. There is no need for any additional changes at Huntley at this time. There are some other high priorities that may need to be addressed, which exploring space needs for and facilities at the middle schools for their sports programs. Any questions about that so far?
Just looking at the other committees to see if this is kind of where that would fall in. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So I guess this is more maybe a Jessica and a Quinette question. But where exactly are our percentages on where elementary class levels will be once we do this switch? Because my biggest concern is we just spent $36 million building an elementary school to reduce class sizes. And now before the board is, hey, let's spend another 70 million to undo the majority of that, to then just slightly decrease middle school class sizes, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but from data I've looked into, elementary school class sizes being smaller is a lot more impactful than middle school class sizes developmentally.
So there's a multi-part question, so if I don't answer all of the parts, please make sure to stop me and let me know. First of all, I want to make sure that we're highlighting the fact that adding Mitchell as a building was wonderful for reducing class sizes, but perhaps even more importantly, brought a neighborhood school to an area where we had many, many children and no school buildings. So putting a school where children actually live was also a really important goal, which was obviously accomplished. Middle school class sizes will go down, but more importantly than that, there will be equity brought to middle school class sizes. So if you looked at the average class sizes for middle school right now, the numbers would not tell the whole story, because as Brant, I'm sure would tell you, Clinton Rosette is packed to the gills, and Huntley is able to have smaller class sizes because they have so many more classrooms. That's leading to a lot of the inequities that we've described several times, including we have one period of choir for each grade in each of the buildings. So at Huntley, last I checked, the class size for sixth grade choir was something like 65, and at Rosette, it's a much more manageable 25. Is that right, Brant?
There's 35 or 38 in there, but yeah.
It's gotten bigger. It is still not as big as the sixth grade choir at Huntley, by almost half, right? We, right now, with a cap of 25 students per elementary classroom, we're at 81% of capacity, so approximately 20 students per gen ed classroom. There aren't 20 students in every gen ed classroom because they're not distributed evenly in every building. Jefferson, for example, because they house our multilingual learners who do not speak Spanish as their home language, is very full, because that's where our students go who need that ESL support but don't speak Spanish. So we have some places where the classes are smaller and some places where they're larger. If we had 23 sections instead of 24, which is what this proposal is suggesting, we would be at 84.5% full, which again is 84.5% of that 25, which is still that reduced cap. So now you're talking about approximately 21 students, or maybe just over 21 instead of 20 in general ed classrooms. That number also includes students that are in specialized program classrooms because they have a seat in gen ed classrooms, which is a statutory requirement, and also because we don't want to say we don't need to include them in the count should they no longer need a special self-contained classroom and would go back into the general education student count in those classrooms.
I guess I'm still, failing to grasp entirely how, because we are now going to take sixth grade, we're gonna spread that between two buildings, which is already spread between two buildings. But now for Huntley, Trevita's building, we're going to take every seventh grader and every eighth grader in the district, and we're shoving them into one building. So I don't get how shoving two full grade levels into one building is gonna reduce the strain on Huntley trying to schedule those same things.
Sure, I'm happy to explain that. So first of all, we'll be welcoming them into the building rather than shoving them. Second, we have 4 grade levels in one building at the high school right now, which is operating smoothly and is pretty traditional. The last thing I would say is we would be adding about 100 students total to Huntley, and 10 classrooms will be vacated, 10 or 11 classrooms, 10 classrooms will be vacated when the ELVC building construction is complete, and our youngest students move across town to that donated land. So if you're looking, this is not the way it will work out, but just back of the envelope calculation, if you added 100 students and you opened up 10 classrooms, you can do the quick math and see there will be enough space for those students there. The reason it's a great idea to have them all together is that first we're establishing the identity of one barb very quickly, right? From the time they're in 7th grade on, everyone is together. And a very selfish anecdote that I would share is, that's why I met my husband in 5th grade, right? Which is creepy and I don't recommend it, but because DeKalb was all together from 5th grade on, we all felt very strongly like we were one team and all pulling together in the same direction. I'm looking forward to our students in this community having that experience earlier than they do now. And then when you get to the high school, you're all kind of rowing in the same direction already, which is great. It also, as we discussed earlier, allows us the opportunity to provide developmentally appropriate supports for 7th and 8th grade students and focus really on what does it mean to be prepared for high school and hit the ground running at DHS, which is harder with more grade levels in one building. Dr. Parker?
Thank you. I'm glad that you asked that question. I was speaking to a couple people at Cabinet on Monday, and I said over the weekend, I thought to myself, okay, why do we want to do Vision 428 in the first place? Because I do think there is a lot coming, and as you'll hear about later on, there's a way that we can step some things out and scaffold some things so it doesn't happen all at one time. But ultimately, I'd like to answer that question: why are we doing this? We are doing this because we know that it's developmentally appropriate for our students. We know that having a 5th and 6th grade center is what's best for students, and then having a junior high model for 7th and 8th grade is what's best for our students. And that is the number one reason why we decided to pitch this to our community first and foremost, and to try to pivot.
Thank you.
Could I just add to that as well? Because we also had talked about how we're using our facilities. And as a teacher at Founders isn't functioning effectively as an elementary school. With all of our littles, and right now we have 5 sole classrooms and we have stairs and not easy access to ramps, easy access to bathrooms for little people. It's a difficult building for especially our youngest students.
So I'm surprised I didn't ask this question before because I'm on the committee you guys are talking about. If we go to the 5-6 plan, are Founders and Rosette gonna be balanced?
No.
Okay.
So I want to thank everybody for all their time and effort on this. I was on the renovations committee with many of you, and I was also on the activities and athletics committee. So a ton of work has been going into this. But one of the things that concerns me is just like the very short time period that everything is getting done. Like, you know, we're kind of condensing this down, some of the details at our direction. Basically, we asked you to do that because we wanted to see if we could do all of this at once. And I am a little concerned about, you know, the class sizes issue, right? Because like one of the main things I think most people would say is like we need to really work on our academic achievement, and especially investing in the little kids. And Mitchell was one of the things that did that, and we've been successful at lowering that class size for, you know, elementary district wide, and we haven't even had a chance yet to see like, is that having a positive impact? Because we just opened Mitchell this year, we haven't seen test scores to the extent those are, you know, reliable measurements. So like I'm wondering, like, are we kind of moving quickly? Because when we start talking about the activities, I don't know that we have a good solution for opportunity for kids at Huntley because of how many of them are putting in there. As it stands right now, we've got 7th and 8th grade teams in 2 different schools. Now we're talking about having 7th and 8th grade teams in one. If we can't, you know, do a field house or whatever, like, how do we host all these events? How do we have enough room for practices? How's that going to impact busing kids to use other gyms in other schools when what we have now is working in a lot of those ways? And so I'm wondering, like, are we making different problems shifting to this, and are we sacrificing, you know, some of the class space that we had? And is it possible that, you know, there's a different way that still accomplishes, or maybe just a longer time period that allows us to have all the things we said we wanted in the beginning without cutting it down? I know that's like a very broad in scope question, but I just want to make sure like we're covering all those bases.
So I think when you see the options that we provided, that's what we tried to do. I did talk to Paul, the executive director of the Park District, said I could share a little bit in general that they're looking to expand right behind Huntley Middle School, and I would look to want to have some kind of intergovernmental agreement with them, so we could utilize those facilities at least for the time being until we know that we're able to have a field house for us, especially if it's not working out. I'd like to analyze is that relationship working or is it not? One of the big things though is how much does the field house actually cost? And that's why in this, the options that you're gonna see today, you're not gonna see the field house in there, the costs in there, because we didn't feel it was an accurate cost at this time. So yeah, I think we're doing that. If you need us to extend it more, then that's something that you can let us know.
I just want to make sure that, you know, if we're going to put all these kids in the same 2 grades in one building, that the ones that are coming over from Clinton Rosette have access to many, many activities, athletics, and, you know, and we have facilities for them, you know, when they get there. And so it's just, you know, that's a concern, because like we've talked about, and everyone there talked about, you know, we want to make sure no one ends up with less.
Yep.
As a result of this, so.
Yep. And then that's been a major conversation, and one of the, like, where we have to put up our hands is, well, the finances, right? Thinking about that. So we want to be fiscally responsible as well. We want to make sure the community understands why we're doing this for our students. So if it were as easy to just say, we need a field house, regardless of how much it costs, we have the money, and it's gonna be that simple to put it there, then it'd probably be an easy plan, but it hasn't been. And there's been some great conversation. Peter and I have debated a little bit about it, and he knows we need a field house over there. I think several people know we need one over there if we don't have any other options. But we would have Lincoln there, we would have Founders, possibly the expansion of the Park District right behind Hunley Middle School. So we are thinking of other options to be fiscally responsible in the meantime. But that's why you're not gonna see the field house in there yet.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm back again for this board meeting. So coincidentally, the personnel update's a little less exciting just because we had to wait for some of the other subcommittees to come up with some conclusions on things. So we will have much more to update for next time, but so far we talked about how 5th grade classrooms, like we explained, are gonna be self-contained, but there will be an element of content-related instruction happening. So there won't be a need for any additional certifications. If you guys have more questions about that, we do have Deidre here that will be able to answer those. 6th grade will operate under a middle school model, as we explained earlier, so those teachers won't have to worry about getting additional certifications. Teachers whose positions are moving or being contracted cannot be moved into existing positions that are not vacant. So no bumping will occur. We've established that as a committee. And then things that we are tackling moving forward are the process for filling positions once this transition occurs. And like I said, we spent a lot of time last meeting starting to just really scrape the surface of that, because it does, it does address people's livelihood, and we want to make sure everything is fair and equitable. So the subcommittee is finalizing a process for determining how positions will be filled. And then we also started the process of identifying what additional personnel will be needed in every building that gets reconfigured. So what additional personnel will be needed in Founders to mirror what happens at Clinton Rosette, who would move with our two-way dual language program, those kinds of things. But a lot of it was just kind of determining how we're gonna approach the topic of filling those vacant positions when the transition occurs.
I just want to add one piece. We do know that this is greater than just teachers, but that is where we need to start because of the license and certification requirements. But beyond that, we will then talk about needs for support staff, including both assistants and related services, as well as office professionals, custodial services, administration, all of that. But we have to start with the classroom needs in order to determine how we will move forward beyond that.
So I'm not really understanding that third bullet.
The no bumping?
Yeah.
So if,
Can I finish my question?
Yeah, sure.
I might make it a lot easier for you to explain.
do that.
The way this kind of seems, it's like the only ones that don't have to worry about moving at all would be the Founders teachers, because everybody else is moving, right? And then.
Well, 5th grade is moving from all the buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
Except Founders.
K through 4 are still all moving from
Right,
Founders.
they still have they still have fifth grade there, so they're the only ones that would theoretically not have to move someplace.
Not physically move, but think about it this way. We are taking fifth grade as a whole, and we're picking them up and moving fifth grade all to Founders. Yes, you are correct. That does not move the fifth grade Founders teachers. It moves all the other buildings, but they are moving as a program, fifth grade program. So they will all move into, or split between those two buildings, actually. And then same with sixth grade. Very similar to the Founders folks not having to move.
Okay.
Does that help?
You know what, I'm just gonna let it go and you guys do what you do.
I think the other part is that K to 4, he was talking, all of K to 4 from Founders also needs to move.
Yeah, they will, yes. Very similar to Clinton Rosette, where the 7th and 8th graders will have to move.
I'm head over, the weeds are over my head and I'm not even.
We gotta get you some shells and
I'm jumping back out of the.
play the shell game.
Like I said, us scraping the surface last time, it's a whole thing. It's a complicated process.
I'm out.
You're welcome to come to the personnel committee.
The transportation subcommittee is headed by Armir and Evelina, so I'll speak on their behalf. The transportation committee is and will be tasked with determining how the transportation needs will change and predicting changes in cost based on reconfiguration options. This work is on hold a little bit. Obviously, Evelina can run models of transporting every student in the district that's in 7th and 8th grade to Huntley, and also estimating potentially what a 5th and 6th grade transportation plan would look like, but without the boundary lines drawn, which we are going to do once our demographer software is up and running, which Ben is leading the way on and doing an awesome job of. It doesn't really make sense to jump in with both feet until we have that information. But we have decided, per Armir's information he was able to share, it's not cost effective for the district to own and operate its own fleet of buses at this time. And it's less expensive to run tiered bus routes rather than starting the school day at the same time across grade bands. So if a bus can pick people up, drop them off at one school, go back to the bus stops and drop the kids off at a 7-8 school, so do 5, 6, and 7-8 on the same bus, that's less expensive. We do not yet know if we can, so a high priority topic to address is, can we stagger the school start times to run tiered bus routes? Obviously, we have to ensure that all of our school start and end times are developmentally appropriate for children. And we need to know what the options for activity buses after school at Clinton, Rosette, and Founders are. So when our 5th and 6th graders are involved in sports and activities, what are the options for running activity buses to get them home like we do currently at our 2 middle schools and at the high school? I will do my best to answer any transportation questions you have, given that it's not my predominant area of expertise. Hearing none?
Don't everyone run up here. First of all, Mr. Boyce, when you first started today, you thanked myself and Matt. I think another group that we have to thank is Mr. Kiley, Mr. Weller, and the high school, and all their staffs in wrestling, because they're the ones that put that on. So they did an excellent job. And like I told the director of the IHSA, because we're trying to get the girls' state wrestling here, is that all roads lead to DeKalb. So hopefully that happens. With going along with everybody else, we've had one meeting, and we're kind of waiting to see where we can go. Earlier in the year, Dr. Garcia Sanchez, tasked me with trying to start looking down at those lower levels and coming up. And now it was kind of an easy transition because I'd already been working on that, something that I've already shared with the board, is that we would like to, back when I was a kid, you started playing with schools in 5th and 6th grade. And us going to that model, I started calling around because a lot of the big question is, well, who does 5th and 6th grade? Well, I started back in my hometown and asked them and see how far east they come, and they do come. So we would be able to start something like that. But what Mr. Atwood said, we have to look and see what we could do or where we could put things. So we had a great meeting. As you can see, we want to be able to grab kids quicker and get them involved because it affects 3 things. On another project I'm doing, it's attendance, When you're in a activity in athletics, your attendance is better to come to school. I know mine was. When you are getting better grades and you stay out of trouble. I have discipline, okay? And that meaning tardies and absences, it all kind of comes together. And that's where we go, just not in athletics, in activities. With these opportunities, with this great, Vision 428, which I won't be here though, but working on it. I'll be done next year about this time, but moving on. But we're trying to get this to go and get this started so we can make DeKalb, like I've always said, a destination and not a layover. Because whether, everyone says, and I've been to a couple different places, they always come and look and see what your schools look like and what your curriculum, and then they go into athletics and activities. So I've said it before, we're kind of the front porch, all right? So Kevin, you want to throw anything in there?
One of the big consensuses from our committee was that we don't want to reduce any of the opportunities our students have, whether it's band, orchestra, choir access, whether it's sports clubs, things like that. We want to make sure that all of our 7-8 students and then all of our 5-6 students have that same equitable access to being able to participate. I look at it, if we were to consolidate our teams, being the volleyball coach for 7th grade this year, one of my students who was our most improved player probably wouldn't make a team if we were just running one team. So I don't want to take those opportunities away from those students that this is their first, foray into organized sports. This might be their first attempt at a team in a middle school. So we want to make sure that we are maintaining that access to all of our students. We also want to look to explore and expand into our 5th grade and provide more opportunities for those students as well.
And kind of like what you said, how we take those schools and we know we're going to plop another school over the year, is that we would look at 7th grade orange, 7th grade black in basketball. You go an A and B team and an A and B team, because you do give those students who now they're going to see new friends and they want to come and they want to try out and, not try out, but make a team. You never know who you're going to get. And with those different activities that we can get them into student council, try to start an FFA club back there. Just when I left the high school, we had 4 or 5 different towns here in FFA jackets. So there's just a lot of good things that can happen, and the more opportunities that we give to these people or give to our students is hopefully in the long run make it a lot better.
Okay, so although I agree with everything you said, I'm also looking at the logistics of it. Did some real quick, very rudimentary research for middle schools the size that this would be, or excuse me, junior highs, the size that this would be. None of them had 4 teams. They all had 2 teams per grade. 8th grade A and B, 7th grade A and B. That brings up 2 questions. One, how did they do it and still maintain what you were talking about, good grades, good attendance, good, all of that other fun stuff? And B, for the athletic directors, how are you gonna plan? I mean, if you're gonna have one bus going to Belvedere, another bus going to Genoa, or wherever it's gonna be. I mean, you're gonna split your school going to 2 different competitions at the same time.
Essentially, that's what we're doing right now with Clinton Rosette and Huntley operating as separate entities for most of our sports. Clinton Rosette's going to Burlington Central, we're going to Sycamore. So that logistics aspect of it.
But are they one school or are they 2? Right now they're 2.
Yeah.
Then they'll be 1. So are we operating as 1 school or 2 schools?
We still only have one person over.
Mr. Kiley that's why I brought him along.
So,
Man, speak.
we just went over this last night. How this would work would be, we would still be a black and an orange conference-wise. We would still be able to schedule it as almost like it was Rosette and Huntley. But it would be still Huntley orange, Huntley black, going 2 separate ways. Since I have a little bit of a time, perfect. I've been around a long time. I was coaching back when this was founder, or when Huntley was Huntley, and we were doing exactly this. We had 2 7th grade teams, 2 8th grade teams. Yes, it did work, but they also had 2 competition gyms at Founders. So it was able to work. We were able to kind of muddle through it, but we also had 600 kids. You know, we'll be at over close to 1,000. So that's one problem. The second one is we've added a lot of different sports now too. So we've added girls wrestling, we've added cheer. So all of those areas right now, we're bursting at the seams at Huntley when it comes to all these different activities that we have. My personal opinion, being around a long time, we have put Band-Aids on stuff in this district forever. And we have changed over and over, like we've changed Founders, we've changed ELDC, we keep moving things from one to another and spending all this money. I remember when the high school was built. I remember when we sat around and said, oh, we have this crown jewel, this great high school, but we weren't gonna put in lights for the football stadium. We weren't gonna put stands in. But that high school is beautiful. It's a crown jewel. And I think we could do something at the middle school level that would be very similar to what the high school has, if that goes that route. We have, like right now, basketball, which I don't know why we use that for examples, but we won't.
There's multiple teams.
Yeah, it's basketball. But if we do basketball, if we ran this just like you said, we'd have the 2 teams. It would be like Rosette is not available, because that's what the numbers would be like. So we'd be cutting off half of those kids. So our population needs athletics, in my opinion. I might be a little biased, but without those athletics, I think we're gonna lose some kids and they're gonna go through the cracks.
No, I
Go ahead,
agree.
Jid.
Patrick, I agree with you. Here's another way to describe my problem. It's one school. We talked earlier, it's one barb. You're gonna start it at 7th grade, one barb. And you get I think you're probably gonna figure out who I'm talking about. You're gonna get the Jimmy Wilson wrestler. And he wants to be on the orange team. Well, the orange team.
Wrestling will be a bad example.
No, it's gonna, you wanted to take it away from basketball.
But it'd be a bad example because it's not subjective to the grade, so that you win, you got the spot. And we can run a double schedule,
Okay,
which we already do.
let's go with basketball.
Go back.
All right.
Back.
Jimmy Wilson's gonna be the star basketball player,
Okay.
the star quarterback, even better, football. Star quarterback, and he wants to be in the orange team, right? Is it one school or not? You're gonna have the orange team have possibly a Division 1A quarterback, and you're gonna have the other team in the same school being provided by the same funds and everything else, having the other guy in 8th grade. I mean, so that's not
Probably go
AB.
back to basketball, because football's already combined, that's already happening. So that's a bad example.
You got the 2
but
schools coming together as one
it's
again.
one school, that's one school, it's for football, it's one school already anyway.
Here's what I think is maybe a bigger issue than the star athlete, right? It is the perfectly average kid who went from being, the 15th best guy at CRMS who made the roster in basketball, let's say, and now he's one of 50 that are playing 7-8 at Huntley, which would be the 5th largest middle school in the state at 1,000 kids. It would be massive. And so how do we ensure that that perfectly average kid still has the opportunity to participate in a sport that he wants to be in? He's with his friends, he's a glue guy, he's somebody that isn't going to be a star, but wants to be involved. And I love 5th, 6th grade basketball. Like, I think that's great, but like logistically, thinking of the amount of practices for all the activities going on at the same time, especially like winter sports, like where do these happen? And part of that being, we have a lot of kids who have difficulty with transportation to school in this district. And so we can't stagger practices until 8 o'clock at night, because the reason we want these kids involved, to Peter's point, is they're out of trouble. They're not out doing things they shouldn't be doing. They've got structure. They've got role models and all their coaches and their differential activity coaches and all that stuff. We have to keep them in one place at a decent time and not have them leaving at school at 3 because you got to be back at 7 for practice. And like, I don't know how we can do it without a field house per se, but I also don't know how we can do a field house. So like what?
Well, we already struggle with that situation with PLCs, because with PLCs, we can't get kids back to practice. That's already a situation that we've been dealing with since we've had those. It's better now that's on a Friday instead of a Thursday, which was always our game days. But that's a little bit better. Going back to, agreed. I mean, I'm a taxpayer too. I would love to be fiscally responsible too. I'm fighting on both sides. But going back to you guys, I've heard one barb like 3 times. If you guys remember back in the day, we played football at Northern. So our high school played all these away games. We never had a home stadium. But now, like some of these things I'm hearing about busing, and so I have kids that would be bused for a basketball practice at Founders. I'd have them bused to Rosette. And to me, that's not one barb. Now they're getting pushed away from their home school where they should be building, like to me, they don't get that home field advantage. They're going all over the place. And every time a bus goes anywhere as a transfer charge, it's $95. So now we're talking some serious money. So once again, I go back to, if we get a chance to do something special and be, I don't know what he coined, another term he coined. I can't even remember. He said it early. Destination, yeah, whatever. Yeah, yeah. And I think we can do that also at the middle school level. And one of my goals when I took on this role was to make sure every sport was hosting something. We're there almost now. The only thing we haven't hosted would be a volleyball tournament because we can't, because we don't. And I don't mean not hosting at high school. I don't want to be at high school. I want to be at our school. I want to showcase our stuff. They already get a chance to showcase it. I want to showcase that building, which is phenomenal for middle school athletics. Phenomenal. But volleyball is the only one we haven't got to yet, and I think we can expand on that too. And the process of involving the community in all of our club sports, all the rentals that happen at Huntley right now with baseball and travel basketball, everything else. When we've gone to Sterling on numerous times and seen their field house that they have connected to Sterling Channel Middle School, and every time we're there, all courts had kids on them the whole time we were there till 9 p.m. And whether it's travel, whether it's their stuff, I mean, it's a phenomenal situation to see that on a regular basis.
I guess, kind of to piggyback off of Nick, I don't think anybody on the board disagrees that is best case scenario would be a dream for our students to have that. But on the flip side, I was a swimmer in high school. We were the one sport that pretty much got told to go kick rocks when the high school was built. We're gonna build a giant field house for every other sport in the district. You get to get bused to the pond that we still have at Huntley at the point in time. Sycamore students have to get bused all the way over there for swimming to our middle school. And we still had one of the highest performing swim teams on the planet when I was in high school. So I don't know that the students actually care as much what building they're performing in.
Disagree.
I'm just saying, Daniel Hines swam as a DeKalb swimmer, won state.
Correct, but the district also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just refurbishing that pool probably 2 years before that happened. So I'm just doing this.
No.
But I completely disagree. Where would you want to practice at? You'd want to practice at your home. Like with basketball, where would you want to practice your free throws? You want to practice them at Rosette's court, or would you rather practice them where you actually might play a game?
We would only have one team playing in the postseason though, right, for these sports, like as far as like IESA rules?
Well, IESA right now is only cross country, track, wrestling are the only, and Scholastic Bowl are the only 4 IESA.
IESA has girls and boys basketball at different times of the year.
We were never able to do that because of all the overlap that happens with the other sports. And then our conference doesn't run it that way either.
Would we be weakening the high school programs if we're reducing the amount of instead of having like 2 feeder schools that are both producing starting lineups for and this is a hyper athletic situation, right? But is that something that those programs are gonna suffer from not having that, or are we gonna be able to provide the same level of athletic training to all the students in the one building?
I would say the sports that are split right now, the girls basketball, boys basketball, and volleyball, yes. If you go to the 1 or 2, like the A and the B model for 7th and 8th. Cause right now, what do
10 more
you,
starters.
you've
Yeah,
got,
every year you lose, you know.
you've got what, 4 levels?
For
For
basketball.
for boys basketball, it's 5 levels, right?
With freshman A and B, it's 4.
So to piggyback off that, so when we're talking about having maybe 4 sections of you know, black and orange for basketball or whatever, what's the equity situation as far as like game scheduling? Is one of those, is orange getting like 25 games, or are they all getting the same?
Identical.
Okay.
It'll be a mirrored
has their own
schedule.
rules and the IHSA has rules.
Yep, it'll be a mirrored schedule.
So and I'm sorry, I'm being devil's advocate, because
Oh, you're fine.
putting in the dream that we'd have to put in at Huntley is ungodly expensive. It just is. Because there's not, when we were first moving from Old Huntley, now Founders, to the high school, now Huntley, the discussion was, you're losing gym space.
Mhm.
Founders has a better gym facility than the high school did. Why are we not concerned then, Peter, with 4 freshman teams, 4 sophomore teams, 4 junior teams, and 4 senior teams?
Well, the competition that we play, they don't have 4, they have 2. I mean, everyone only has 1.
But we could go to different schools. We could
Very
say,
few.
because that's exactly what Patrick's talking about right now. He's talking about going to different schools with an orange team and a black team. And if it's going to help the middle schoolers, it's also gonna help the high schoolers. So why are we not setting up 4 teams in the high school?
I think
Because,
IHSA is a little stricter.
Yeah, the higher you go, the different.
You
different
understand?
way.
You
Yeah, I
understand
get it.
the
That's
paradigm we're
where,
thinking
that's
of,
where
right?
everyone, I mean, that's when the rubber hits the road on who's gonna make what, so.
And another question on a totally different thing. Maybe in favor of the idea. You said that at Sterling, that field house is being used all the time. How long do you think, and granted, we're not gonna wait this long, but how long do you think it would take to repay the building of the field house with rental fees? Tammy's back there somewhere.
Tammy don't like to rent them out though.
Honestly, I can't answer that question tonight. I don't have that data, but I will say this, it would take a very long time, because a lot of the fees that we collect now are reimbursing our staff costs, not necessarily a rental income, because they are clubs and programs that are our students that are participating, and there's different levels to which groups pay for facility fees.
Now, this might be more of a Trevita question. Space-wise, when you get those 10 extra classrooms back from ELDC for activities-wise, I know one of the like upper, I don't know what you would call it, wing gyms or whatever, like that's more of like a staff break room now, right? That used to be like, when you go up the stairs to the right, behind the bleachers, there's that whole room that's there.
No, it's a concrete floor gym that we utilize for PE. It's also it's what our JV mat room. We also use it, for cheer practice also.
Okay, so that's utilized for activities already.
Correct.
Can the one on the other side, can that be used for volleyballs or too short?
It's too short. And there's no seating. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
No, it just,
Yeah,
not for the competition.
I want to jump in just to kind of bring this back a little bit. I know it's complicated and I'm not suggesting that we defer to them, but I am really wondering who's asking students what they want in ways that actually like would elicit the kinds of information that would help our decision making, because obviously we have to be the ones making these decisions, right? Like we're the grown-ups.
I can tell you that just my own personal, like I bring our wrestlers to Sterling every year, and we go into that field house, and they go, this is a middle school? And I mean, that would be my gauge on it, like, yeah, I mean, it is a middle school, and what's neat, I mean, you go to the high school and you get, high schoolers are in there all the time in the field house, but as you walked into Sterling, it was just middle school kids or lower, in there the whole time. And so, I mean, I don't know if we can get that out to kids and find out their information too, but.
I would love to see like some thought as far as like some systematic like way of
And
getting a sense of
Yeah,
whatever we can do.
I also want to speak on, I know that the rec center was brought up, just in the past few years, I mean, that has really gone away. They only open that up even for PE wise, which we used to utilize back before, like almost before COVID. We would be able to utilize the turf or have a gym space. Now the rec has pickleball, goes all the time, which is awesome anyway. But and then the other side they have, so we don't get any of that space at all. And then there's also a safety factor of walking those kids across that way. I know back a long time ago when that was built, they talked about actually building a walkway because that was part of it. It's supposed to be utilized through the high school, and high school would use it all day long, and then it would be community after that. But I do know that, I've walked the kids over there, and it can be kind of tricky sometimes. So in those gyms for competition would be really, really rough. There's not a lot there for it. And they have stuff in there all the time too, so. Sorry to monopolize it.
I guess,
No, that's
and I'm
good.
thinking too, just in terms of prioritization, because that's obviously gonna have to happen here, is figuring out where do we
Coming
move
out
pieces
the-
around, and maybe student input could help with that, I don't know.
We do surveys at the high school to see what they're interested in once every 3 years.
So I think, Dr. Bailey, you're not just asking survey about if they want a field house, if they would be interested, the students in having a field house, but maybe asking the fifth graders if they prefer being in a 5-6 building over a K-5 building. And then our sixth graders, if they prefer being in a 5-6 building over a 6-7-8 building, is that what you're getting at?
No, I think, I'm not sure exactly what questions I would ask. I think I would have to sit down for a little bit, and I'm happy to do
Yeah, I don't
that.
mean the specific questions, but is that kind of what you're?
I think I'm speaking even more specifically, like within these areas, to get a sense where students' input might be useful for figuring out priorities and sort of where we shift dollars toward, if that makes
When we talk
sense.
about curriculum, we will be bringing in student voice as is
Awesome.
appropriate. When we talk about expansion of electives, what some of the offerings would be, what their passions are. And then also educating them along the way, like, I might wanna take horseback riding as a class, that's great. But how does that align with my post-secondary, how does that align with the high school goals? Making sure that there are parameters on it and control
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, I think we often speak for students about like what really matters, or if they have to look at certain priorities in different ways, and I don't know.
Also, the mini board and I would always be happy to input our opinions on what we think should be changed. I mean, that's why we're here. So if you guys ever need any input, just reach out to me.
Absolutely.
Which also reminds me, Maria, you can leave whenever you need to. It's getting a little
I
late.
already checked them.
Okay.
I was very interested about the sports.
So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the versions before it turns like 2:00 in the morning. So the first version, I'm not gonna fully go through them because I've shared with the board prior, unless you have questions, but I'm gonna kind of go through them kind of quick. The first version is the full version 428 that we first originally came to you with in August of 2028. We'd be up and going. What we used, we wanted to keep our fund balance to a minimum of 30%. I know we try to keep it to 20 or 30, but we're trying to keep it at 30 with the tax rate the same as well, which I believe is 4.83. The second version, we'd actually start Lincoln first, and we would be done with Lincoln in 2028, correct?
Yep.
And then with Founders in 29, and we'd be able to start 29-30.
So in this version, Huntley would not have its full renovations complete, including the newly equipped science rooms, until fall of '29. But the renovations at the other buildings would be done by the fall of '28, allowing us to move the students into 5, 6, 7, 8 configuration in the fall of 2028.
And then,
Yep, and in this one, the third version is different only in that on the second version, the field house is a more immediate goal. And in the third version, the field house is a longer term goal, should the funds materialize in the E-zone.
and then this slide just lays them out for you. all together so you can compare.
Now, is this full cost, I'm assuming this is only the cost of 428? This is not including the cost of ELDC?
That's correct, but the fund balance would reflect the additional changes related to the ELDC. And these are our MERS numbers, which also include his projections for staffing changes related to lowering class sizes at the middle school and additional similar costs.
And the ELDC operational costs as well, are they factored into that?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, everyone. Sorry.
So thank you. Really, next step is gonna be, digest it a little bit, a lot of it, and please send us any questions that you have. And then at the next board meeting, we really would like to know, if the boards come to a consensus of, we don't wanna do version 3 whatsoever, that one's out of, like, we don't even wanna, entertain version 3 or whatever it might be. And we only wanna entertain maybe 2 and 3 and we'll continue to, or 1 and 2, and we'll continue to, evaluate it and see what's gonna be the best option for us.
I would just add, Nick, I think you asked whether we were going fast at the detriment of good planning. So just to remind the full board and everyone else that the idea may be relatively new in a public forum like this, but it's been discussed for a much longer period of time than that and is not hasty. And that the time-sensitive issue really is, Tammy, if you wanted to speak to it, that would be awesome. But I believe it's whether we need to have plans drawn up and construction plans in place for Lincoln.
She doesn't wanna speak to it.
I would be happy to speak to that. As I've already explained to the board, to be able to construct, get out to bid, design, construct, and all of that, have Lincoln ready for August of '28, we do need a decision by the end of April. If we miss that deadline, we are bumping this a year no matter what, because it takes that much time to be able to do the proper design and bidding that is necessary, as well as the construction.
What does that mean if you wait another year?
That means that this entire plan does not get completed until August of '29, and additional funds it would cost us additional funds to be able to do this, because every year that we push this out, everything costs more a year from now.
I have a question specific to you, Tammy. Like in the fall, before we started talking about Vision for 28, when we were talking about just the ELDC, there was an option to build that was like a 20 classroom ELDC, and then it was renovations to Huntley that was like turning the ELDC wing into classrooms, et cetera. Like, and I think it was like $42 million or something like. And I know that didn't quite go as part of the Vision for 28, but like, is that an option to get things started? And then, you know, because if we wanted to try to pay for this thing as we went, like it may cost like a little bit more to do it over a longer period of time, but if we could just pay as we went and structure these projects in such a way, like one, I guess, would that project not be able to be completed initially with the ELDC if we were gonna move to a 5 to 6 grade center? And then secondarily, you know, once we would have more time to maybe look at some of these, because we have a lot of questions still that we need to answer, and maybe that might change how we do things. But if we're not borrowing, we're saving a lot in interest, you know, and maybe we spend 10% more, but maybe we save 30%, you know, not borrowing. And then we can get everything we talked about initially, like, you know, a field house and then fine arts rooms at Huntley, which are now like no longer part of the plan. And that, the other part, and we didn't talk about with activities that I'm worried about is like, you know, the arts programs, all that, because I think 5th and 6th grade music, fantastic at the grade centers. Love to get them in their own bands, their own choirs, madrigals, whatever it may be. But then when they get to Huntley and you have 400 kids that participate in some form of music or band or whatever, we don't even have a choir room to work with different, you know, the altos or whoever, you know, the tenors. I'm not a music guy, but, you know, I care about what they get to do. Can we have more if we do that and just kind of pump the brakes and think about how we might refinance this in a different way? Like, I know we've got great options. And again, the amount of work we dumped on everyone and said, you've got 2 months, it's an amazing plan, right? But I just want to see, like, would we all benefit from pumping the brakes a little bit? Is there other options for construction that still preserve the Vision for 28, which becomes the Vision for 31 or whatever? And it might take a little bit longer, but we get more in the long run. And you know the facilities better than everybody, so like, is that even feasible, or is that a pipe dream?
I think it is feasible. It's a matter of we can still do the renovations that we're gonna do in the current ELDC wing. We may tweak them a little bit as we move forward in the next month or two of planning. That maybe it won't just be, because what we talked about was just making the small bathrooms into bigger bathrooms for middle school age. And then the bathrooms in between the classrooms are going to be storage or offices. Maybe those are more converted into science prep rooms, something like that. And that decision can be made over the next month or two, depending on what direction the board gives us at the next meeting. Those are the things that can still be detailed out. They might cost a little more than we originally said when we put together that ELDC renovation quote for that wing, because that was more of a general quote.
Sure.
But those are still some things we can look at, and we do have some time to be able to do that.
Because I worry about dropping all of this money in 3 years and taking the fund balance from 102 million to 40 something, and then it's like, you know, what does that look like in a rainy day situation? We just got real comfortable having all that money, and then it's dollar for dollar. You know, whatever we spend on ELDC in this project goes straight out of that amount. So.
And I do want to give a little bit of cushion here in that the date that we have that I say that April, that's because the additions take so long to build. The addition at Lincoln would take that long. When it comes to renovations that are happening within the existing structure, being the ELDC wing, anything at Founders, Rosette, Huntley's inside the structure that already stands, those renovations will still be done in the summer before we actually switch. So those are typical 10-week projects, of summer projects. So we have a little bit of time there to make some changes because those won't go out to bid as quickly as the addition at Lincoln and then the ELDC new build.
I think I wanted to piggyback off that, just that I like what Nick's saying there. And kind of going back to what Pat said, is like making sure that we're not cutting any corners though. I mean, we want to get everything we can that we can get. And if we stretch it out a little bit, I think that's a great idea. But we want to make sure too, we're not making snap decisions on some things just because, well, we're going to push the big decision down the road because we are hoping to get this more money.
Sure.
And making sure that things aren't just done unnecessarily.
Well, we wanted to make sure what we're bringing to you was fiscally responsible and really were the almost the basics with a little extra that are necessary for this vision to happen. There's a lot of things we could do. There's a lot of things that would be great to do, but they all have a price tag to them.
You guys have done fantastic, because we asked for pie in the sky, and like you showed us that option, the bare bones, like the middle ground, like you know, the amount of extra man hours like after work and stuff like that, because like I've been going to these meetings, like I've seen all the work you guys are doing, and then you come back to the next one, and there's been stuff happening behind the scenes in between, and the amount of problems from, you know, looking at transportation, personnel, activities, athletics, the variables are in the thousands and thousands. So like everybody's worked so hard at it, and they've done a great job. It's not, you know, it's just, you were just given such a limited amount of time. Like I was reading about a school that downstate that built a field house. They spent a year planning a field house, and we're redesigning an entire district and making all these other things. So like I want to make sure that like we do it right. And I think we've got a great plan as this is, but if there was a way to stretch it out, like we can keep putting money aside every year and help offset that cost. You know, there's just different variables to think of, but like, you know, you guys and all the work you've done has been incredible on this, like in such a short amount of time, especially.
And keep in mind, we want to make sure what we do is not something we are going to want to change and undo in a short amount of time. So the decisions we make, we need to make sure are sound in that, yes, this is what we're going to stick with, but that might mean we hold off somewhere else until we're sure that that's what the programs need, whether it's the fine arts area or whatever that area is that needs to be revisited.
I worry about 5 years of activity busing because we can't afford a field house, but yet we still want to give the kids the same access, you know, to activities, because maybe the field house costs $30 million, which is insane to think about, you know, Mitchell costing close to that. But, you know, I don't want to commit all the way, and then it's like, oh man, like one of these problems that we were planning to get to created a nightmare for scheduling and transportation and all that. So, but I appreciate all the work so far.
So considering the plan, it seems to be there's two elephants in the room, not just one. It's whether we go and all three plans have Lincoln expansion. So are we gonna go with the plan at all, or we're gonna scrap and start all over again? And we need to know that by April for the Lincoln part. Then
For the Lincoln to be open in 2028, yes.
yeah, to make the deadline for the 28, we need to decide whether we're going to go forward to try to reach 28 with any one of these three plans. We need to know that by the end of April. And if we're going to go with a plan that has the field house in it, we need to know that by the end of April. Cause all of the other, no, for
No.
28, the one
For
that
the
said.
full vision?
For the full
Yeah.
vision, 28, yes. But
For
they,
the full vision, yes.
the different versions are really just how long do you wanna wait on talking about a field house?
Right.
How many years do you want, and Nick, just to clarify, activity buses refer to buses that come when your activity's over and take you to your home bus stop,
Okay.
not between buildings.
Not the shuttle.
Right.
Why, yeah, shuttle then, I mean,
Shuttle
whatever you gotta do to
Sure.
get them from A to B.
Just for the purpose of clarity, the different versions are, at what point do you want to fund a field house? Do you wanna do it
Right.
immediately? The Lincoln came out of the renovations committee because when you look at the, first of all, because there's more of an appetite broadly for going with 23 sections at elementary instead of 22. At 22, we'd be adding a section in Mitchell, a section at Brooks, and doing no construction of any addition at an elementary building. So the price does go up when you do a 2-section addition at Lincoln, but it also means you retain the dual language program on the south side and go to 23 sections instead of 22, which is 84.5% full instead of 88, which seems to make everyone more comfortable. So that's why the Lincoln edition is now a part of the core concept of the vision. Once the Lincoln edition is done, there are a few additional minor costs at Rosette and Founders that would be necessary in order to shift to 5, 6, 7, 8. That's really why that's the big decision that has to be made by the end of April. With that in place, then you have more of an a la carte option that the board can say, yes, we want to devote the money to renovating the secondary cafeteria back into a choir room. Yes, we want to look at a kiln at Founders. Yes, we want to look at bringing music down, a production kitchen at Founders so that the Founders students have the food that is as fresh as the students at Clinton Rosette. All of those things would then become, what do we have the money to do? And they're a bit more a la carte because they don't require a 3-year planning cycle. Is that right, Tammy? Yes. So really, the decision is, do we still want to reconfigure, given that that's what the full committee said was preferable, given all of those things? And the price tag for that is the price you see on version 1 in years 26 and 27. Yeah, before adding in anything related to a field house. And then the secondary question is, do you want to talk about a field house now, or do you want to wait and see what happens financially? And without talking about what happens financially, then you are talking about, can we use Lincoln's gym, Founders gyms, those things to make sure that we are, again, doing whatever the board has decided to fund with regard to athletics and activities. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, you're fine.
I'm okay with moving on to the next. Sure. I think we still got other agenda tonight.
Thank you all. Next item is ELDC business.
All right, good evening. A little bit of a shorter update about the ELDC, but a little foreshadowing into probably another presentation. So as I said at the last kind of update, the committee has been working, doing different tours, having meetings, trying to come to consensus basically on what is those core essentials that we need in the building, and then of course putting a square footage to those spaces. So over the last month and a half, we've been seeing different schools, different kind of options, both in district. We've had staff go out to Cortland and Mitchell as well as out of district, and I alluded to those last time. And the team has come to more of a consensus of what they want to see in terms of spaces. So what that means is that we would like to come forward to the board after spring break, so that April 7th meeting, with a schematic design that lays out what those core components are from the ELDC staff, and then potentially a request to kind of meet those core requirements. So we're kind of busy kind of putting that together, but that is the most recent update that we have. Can I answer any questions?
Just a question, just because I know Nick kind of asked it during Vision 428.
Yep.
I remember when we approved ELDC, did we go with a 24 or a 20 classroom building?
So as of right, we are planning for a 20 classroom ELDC. That's what our plan has been from the onset.
Okay.
I know there was some discussion around a 24 classroom ELDC as well.
The initial request
As a
had been
board.
16.
Okay.
Okay, so I just know we bumped it by 4. I didn't remember if that made it 20 or, okay.
It's
No, we
32
had,
now.
I thought we had said we would be willing to support 24. And
That's-
they
I
came back at
just-
20.
The original
Okay.
request was 16, and then we added 4 more classrooms.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, cause I just thought I remembered we said do 24, sounds great.
You wanna do
We
24?
did, no, we did say that.
Can we recheck that board meeting?
I believe
That's exactly what happened. And we said 24 would be fine, and then it came back like 20 is really what we need, you know, and with room to spare, 24 was kind of a bit excessive, I think was the.
Yeah.
I think the resolution says 24. I have to double check, but my computer died, so I think the resolution.
We'll double
says-
check that. Besides that, does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you, guys. Next agenda item. Into new business. Item A, student discipline. This is an action item. It is recommended the board approve the expulsion in advance for student number 031826. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Atwood.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Quest.
No.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes. Item B, marching band travel request, MB Super Regional Competition. This is information presented to us by
I can, if need be,
Donna?
Donna, whoever's in here.
Donna's here somewhere.
She's right there.
The band.
Where's the band going?
The band.
We got for band tonight.
Band, look at the band kids. Come on.
Sorry. Okay, out of state.
Super regional competition.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Oh, here we go.
Capstone
Okay,
event.
sorry about that. No, this is, here we are.
Way to think on your feet, good
Thanks,
improv.
yeah. Sure can. I like the new process that we're. Okay, they are going to the super regional competition in St. Louis in October. That is why this threw me off. It wasn't anything coming up. So I'm glad that they're ahead of this. This would be a good experience. They usually go to, in the past it was in Indianapolis. So it's the first time that they're moving it to St. Louis. It will be a good experience for the students. They'll all be together in August through the football season. And then they will be able to go to St. Louis. So, any other questions? Sorry about that. Impromptu, yeah.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is that just information?
Yep, that was just information. Do we have consensus to bring that back?
Yes.
Yes.
Item C, admin stipends, out of, it looks like, our title grants for 10003A.
I have a team joining me. They will speak on behalf of this request to, once again, offer stipends to our administrators in the buildings that are in designation or within their planning year. This is paid for out of our Title I 10038 grants. It is designated specifically to their buildings and may be used for this purpose. They will describe.
Okay, wanted to write some things down because we do so many things, so thank you. First, we want to extend our sincere gratitude to the Board of Education for your unwavering support of our building administration's strategic school improvement initiatives. We are especially appreciative of the administrative stipends, which honor the significant time and dedication required to navigate the complexities of our recent designation status. Your partnership and investment in our leadership team are vital as we work together to elevate academic standards and foster a thriving environment for every student. Building administration spends countless hours developing BLT agendas and meetings, SIP agendas, meetings, and professional development, staff meeting agendas and professional development, MTSS meetings, and deep data dives, check in the bag, behavior, attendance, and grades, building and grade levels, truancy data review, parent letters, family meetings, student incentives, data team meetings, map data, math and reading interventions, students placement, class walkthroughs of instructional practices and strategies, inter-rater reliability of building admin evaluations, evaluations of teachers and assistants, planning of professional development, student incentives, building institute, PLCs, grade level meetings, ISB meetings, and reports. Did I miss anything?
That sounds like a lot. We have, for 10-month administrators that are included in this, obviously, we end 5 days after the kids come back, 2 weeks before the teachers. So all of the professional development that we need to do for ourselves and all the planning we need to do for the professional development of our staff is done on our own time. Since the state allows under 1003A to take a portion of these funds towards administrator stipends, we would like to take advantage of that. Questions?
Guess this is more of a teacher question, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I know that I have other administrators who technically reside in the building level who have commented a couple times that they work outside of their contracted hours and they do not get additional compensation. I guess, what can of worms does this open for now every salaried employee in the district who doesn't get the timesheet should now be paid for completing their job duties outside of the workday?
So everyone does work within their job responsibilities, but the designation, how that impacts the work that needs to happen in the building extends beyond their regular job task. Does that answer your question?
It's above and beyond
Yeah, it
because
really
our
is.
our summer retreats that we need to have for the professional development to implement our school improvement goals, which have to be approved by the state, is above and beyond what we have to do when we're not in designation.
So just to play devil's advocate, did the board request that 10-month employees become 12-month employees within the last 2 to 3 years? And we got pushback from 10 months that they did not have a desire to have their contract changed to reflect that.
It didn't come to the board. There was conversation about that, but it didn't come before the board.
So I guess would it not make more sense if they need the summer to do their jobs, that we employ them for the summer?
Well, I will say this, that would impact our general fund in paying them versus this is grant monies.
And this is above and beyond that summer work.
Yeah, because our 12-month administrators, while they work in the summer, this is still above and beyond what they would be doing if they weren't in designation, and all we're trying to do is avail ourselves of the funds. Plus the additional SIP meetings we have throughout the year that we have.
It's a lot throughout the year.
That schools in designation do not.
So after your incredible amount of work that you will put together for the next 2 or 3 years, when you get out of designation,
And we don't get the SIP.
we're not gonna get these requests.
Correct. Right.
Because those are just funds that are allocated by the state because you're in, and so then they also consider as the administrators of those buildings, you're putting in additional time to help recover from being in designation.
Exactly.
Yes, this is exclusive to designation.
And it's exclusive to personnel costs, right, or something I read?
This request is,
This-
1003A funds are used for a gamut of different things, staff professional development, resources that they may utilize, professional development, you see professional development requests come through, in-state, out-of-state, meeting hours, things like that. For that
Yeah,
particular.
we could also add that, sorry, Nitra.
No.
There you go. Adding to that part, even just with the 12-month talking and things like that, when you're in the designation, there's partnerships that you have to research beyond those types of the work that you do daily for the in and out of the operations, for the daily that you do with the scheduling within your like job actual description for the year to get the building up and running. When you're in designation, there's paperwork and forms that you need to fill out. There's meetings that you have to have with the ROE on top of those things. So that is outside of like creating your master schedule, doing the daily operations. So I think that is why the request and the opportunity to bring this to you with that piece today, that will end once we put in all this time and work to get out of that designation.
Do we have a sense of the rest of the school improvement funds, like that grant and how it's being spent, I guess, to see like where all of that grant money
What you're
is?
saying, I'm sorry, can you say it
No,
again?
I'm wondering, we have this grant, right, for school improvement funds to be used for a variety of things. I would love to understand where the various pieces are going and how much of the pie this is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you want, we could probably set up a meeting. I mean, we've met with other board members who've wanted to
Okay.
see, because that's a whole other, that's probably an hour conversation
Oh,
just alone on that.
geez, okay. You don't know what you don't know.
This does set a limit for how much
Yes.
administrators can request. It has to be under 5% and we're under that.
I also
Okay.
just wanna be very clear, I am not opposed to you guys getting these stipends
Same.
at all. I know that you guys bend over backwards for the district. I just want to make sure that, you know, one day if this grant goes away, not just you guys, but just administrators in general don't have that, well, I worked 162 days and my contract was 160. Where's my, you know, because I feel like I've heard it from administrators before. Or sometimes when administrators get stipends, we'll hear from other administrators. That's crazy that they all got that and we didn't. So it's just, I need to make sure that I have the justification for, one, it's title grants, two, there's reason XYZ for the extra work they're putting in.
We actually want these grants to be gone as much as the money is great for our school improvement. We don't want to be in designation. So hopefully you will see this money go away.
But it is, again, specifically for those designations. And I think if any of our 10-month staff or anyone else wants to join the 12-month contracts, they're more than welcome as we have vacancies in the district. I don't think I saw any of them apply, just throwing that out there.
So I'm sorry, this should be quick. Designation requires a bunch of other things throughout the school year, including meetings and this and that. Does the 103, does this grant money also pay for like the subs that are required to fill in for the teachers who are going to the meetings to discuss about how they're gonna change their lesson plans and change their curriculum?
It can, it depends on what the overlap is. Oftentimes it's not used for subs because it's better used in other areas. And also there are very few meetings that occur during the day because it is so hard to find sub coverage. So it's typically before school, after school.
I just wanted to be clear too, that that's why I'm asking, because I think it's really important for us to be able to defend these decisions publicly and understand
Absolutely.
what we're defending, so.
That's all my questions. Anyone else? Do you have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, great. Figure out where I'm at. Next item is item D, Summer 2026 Teaching and Learning, TOSA LOA.
Hey, each year we look at what is our summer work that we have across our initiatives, our grade levels, rolling up to a dual language, expanding MDUs, further honing our different practices. And what is it that the function that our instructional coaches, I was just slurring instructional coach and TOSA all into one word, teacher on special assignment, but how they help drive those initiatives, and their contract is the teacher contract. So when they come in, and this is an extension of their work, they're not taking professional development like the rest of our certified staff under this agreement. They're not doing regular standard curriculum work that our other DCTA members are. They would be using those timesheets that work. This is separate for leading initiatives that we have that's under us. In the past, we've requested 120 hours. That was not needed this year. We did a whole study on how many hours did we use over the last 2 years, what are our different work that I had already mentioned that we need to do, how many hours is for that, and then allocating that out. So this is a decrease from previous years, even though I know there's still a big number there. This will come out of our general fund, which Amira had said that we did have within our budget, and then we'll look at the end of the grant period and see if we do have additional Title II funds or Title I funds, then we will take and move some of those hours into that to alleviate our general fund, if that makes sense. Any questions? Seeing none, no.
We squeezed some 100,
Pardon?
103B, A, C, whatever.
We can't
It's
take
improving
this.
It's improving the district.
All right. Any other questions? Do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is item E, Building Thinking Classrooms Workshop.
Hi, Jennifer Hilliard, back again. I have some of my team here to talking about 1003A again. One of our large initiatives as a school improvement team is to improve our students' instruction in math. And this year we have started adopting mathematical thinking tests to improve students' ability to think critically in math work. This request is to provide us with the opportunity to go to Building Thinking Classrooms Workshop. They are the writers of mathematical thinking tests. This would give us more thorough background. We've already started our rollout of professional development to staff. However, this would help improve that process by being able to go to the conference. We would be taking a variety of teachers, our two instructional coaches, Denise and Michelle, a kindergarten teacher, a second grade teacher, and then teachers from the dual language program, so that they can help be that spread, as well as we would like to spread our wealth greater. Denise, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I've been able to convince the team to present at the October 9th, ROE Countywide Institute Day, so.
I didn't know you couldn't speak. I hadn't heard Denise. Sorry, I wouldn't have put her on the spot. So not only would we be bringing back to our own staff, but we'd be willing to share with the district. And then it sounds like we got a couple of add-ons.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Sarah Schaefer, elementary STEAM manager.
And Broadcorp, secondary STEAM manager.
And I realize this is unusual having an add-on after what was submitted, but Amy and I were considering going to this training at a later time, and then realized it would be more effective if we could be there at the same time as Cortland, to be able to sit with the team of teachers that are there and work through what is being discussed at the conference and the strategies. As well as in Amy and my role, we'll be doing a lot of the development for the PD as our Envision curriculum for math for K-5 renews in 2027. It includes the thinking classroom and the math blocks. So it's part of every topic that will be taught through our math curriculum. So we would like to start ahead and get prepared on how to best get our teachers prepared for that upgrade that will occur.
Yeah, so expanded to all of the elementaries, not just Cortland as well.
Our funds would be coming out of Title II, and the price would be $3,324.
Do you have that somewhere?
That is not in here. This
No,
was
that'll
just my
be-
proposal.
That'll be amended onto the next, for the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Hearing no questions, we have consensus to bring this back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And item F, Fusion NWVA MAP Conference.
The link to open this one. Link's not working on this one. The link, click on it, and it just spins. Spins to the. Is that same for you? Yeah. Guess I'll have to listen.
Good?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I am Tricia Maxwell, work at Clinton Rosette Middle School, 8th grade English. Good evening to the members of the Board of Education. We are requesting approval to attend the NWEA Fusion Conference, which will take place June 22nd through the 25th this summer in Florida. This annual conference brings together more than 1,000 educators and education leaders from across the country to participate in hands-on workshops and product training and best practices sessions focused on maximizing the impact of the NWEA's assessment tools. Our goal in attending is to strengthen our ability to analyze student data and translate that data into targeted instructional strategies that improve student growth and achievement across District 428. Participation in this professional learning opportunity directly supports our district's strategic priorities related to student achievement and the development of leadership capacity across our schools. I sit currently on the SIT team, which stands for School Improvement Team. Have been on that team for 2 years at Clinton Rosette, and we often discuss the MAP data and how to best use it for the benefit of our students. The conference will help me personally better understand the data and be able to bring it back to the team so that we can look at it and figure out ways to best use that data for our students, so we're better equipped to help them in the areas in which they need to improve when it comes to those MAP scores.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Campbell. I am the math interventionist at Mitchell Elementary. I also sit on our SIT team at Mitchell, as well as our instructional leadership team. So as you know, our district uses the Measurement of Academic Progress, or MAP, tests as our primary benchmark for students in grades K through 8. The MAP results are also one of our strongest predictors of how students will do on the IAR, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, and the state obviously uses that when designating our schools. So because of this connection between MAP and IAR, it's essential that we maximize how we analyze our MAP data. This conference that we're requesting is specifically designed to help educators translate that MAP growth data into actionable instructional strategies, including how we can identify learning gaps, how we can strengthen our MTSS systems, and how we can support differentiated instruction. So taking a test score and actually doing something with it in the classroom. By improving how we will use this data, then we're better positioned to accelerate our student growth and improve our outcomes across our district and hopefully start to meet our goals.
Sarah Schaefer, hello again. So one of the most valuable pieces of this conference that we're going to be going to is the MAP Suite data system. While we're there, the sessions are designed to help educators build advanced skills in interpreting growth data, analyzing the longitudinal student performance, and using MAP reporting tools to guide instructional decisions. So this is particularly important for our district and our data strategists. Data strategists and our instructional leaders as they use this MAP data. This is our universal screener. It's one of 3 major data points that we are using, and it helps them to guide the PLC conversations that are being had and the school improvement teams and planning for MTSS supports. At the conference, there's going to be particular sessions that are going to be hands-on, being able to utilize our MAP data that we're bringing to the table. There's a product solution lab where we can receive one-on-one support for our needs with MAP, and then have collaborative sessions with other districts to focus on what they are doing in their district and be able to have that comparative collaborative conversation. Ultimately, the goal is to deepen our understanding, and from my lens as well, to work with my math interventionists, bring back to them what I have learned so that they can be even more effective than they currently are in working with our student populations that they're providing interventionists with, and building out to our teachers to also help them deep dive in hopefully some new ways that they're not aware of yet.
Hi, I'm Tammy Cox. I'm the dean at Huntley Middle School, and for the last 4 years, as an instructional coach for 2 years, and the last 2 years at Huntley, I've been on a quest to make MAP matter, which has been my focus. We use it throughout our schools, and we spend a lot of time investing into our students. So going to this conference will give us the tools that we need to improve how we use the data to support all of our students. It'll help us understand the MAP growth analytics and be better equipped to address current achievement gaps and identify targeted supports for students who may be historically underdeserved, such as race or socioeconomic statuses. This funding for this would come from the Title II and the school improvement funds, ensuring that no general operating costs would be impacted. When we return back from this training, we would become we would use the train the trainer models for our schools. We'll also be able to share the strategies that we learned to help our school improvement teams, to help our PLCs, the district staff present at Institute Day, things like that, to better equip our teachers with what we really do with the MAP data that we get 3 times a year, that most of our teachers really don't know how to break that data apart to really see how to differentiate in their classroom. So we respectfully request the board's approval for this professional learning opportunity so that we can continue strengthening our use of data to support student growth across D428. Thank you for your time.
So the link didn't work. What's the total cost?
The total cost is approximately $17,000, $17,234.
Thank you.
Hey, no other questions? Do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. And final agenda item is Summer 2026 SFS MTSSB and Special Ed Facilitator. I'm assuming this is Kyle.
Good evening. Similar to Ms. Montgomery's presentation, I'm coming forward tonight with a letter of agreement that has gone through DCTA Board of Directors as well as our administrative team. For the last couple of years, our special education facilitators and our MTSSB specialists have required additional summer hours to do work that has to be done during the summer, either in cleanup of the year coming off of the school year or in preparation for it. More specifically, when it comes to special education, some of the tasks they'll be doing this summer would be, hopefully we'll have our audit results back from the state. We were told it would come late in spring, so we're hoping we'll have that by the summer. So they'll be working on kind of those results and any corrective actions that we have to do to plan for the fall. They'll also be leading some training, some support for our ELDC staff that are supporting pre-K, blended, and EC classrooms as they learn from each other on how to kind of blend their skills together. At the high school level, they do different scheduling and course corrections as well as ECT compliance checks for the upcoming year. They support professional development such as new teacher orientation, Institute Day, and various trainings that happen throughout the summer. And so overall, there would be 9 people that would be completing up to 120 hours of work over the course of the summer. In previous years, we haven't filled or used all of those hours, primarily because we haven't had the staff in the positions to do that work. In total, though, for this coming summer, we project the cost to be $103,973.40. And similar to what Sarah mentioned, we're going to be utilizing local funds for that, but also looking at potential grant funds to offset, specifically the IDEA grant. Any questions?
Hearing no questions, do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to superintendent update.
Good evening. You know, this is where we're going to wrap it up. I have just one major thing. We heard from Chris, we heard from Peter, we've heard from other folks about how great our IESA wrestling tournament went. I just want to do some shout outs. So we are having some state, based on the IESA wrestling state tourney that just occurred this past weekend, we have a couple of place winners. In first place, we have Parker Weller. Whoop, whoop, Parker. Third place, Rashawn Watkins. Fourth place, Jaden Giannone. I think I said that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Sixth place, Anthony Pennington. Yay! Overall, the team got 5th place in state. So you all know how I feel about wrestling, but you know, in this case, I know how much love there is for that here in DeKalb. Congratulations to all of our wrestlers and all of our student athletes, and congratulations. Over to you, sir.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, yep.
Double aye.